Happy Monday, January 19th, 2026. We've got some really cool stuff to talk about today in comic book news. We've got a new X-Force title coming out with one of the coolest X-Men lineups I've seen in a long time. The Hellverine's involved. Need I say more? We've also got a really cool Superman Bizarro title coming out, led by Kevin Smith. We've also got a new president of Lucasfilm and more. So let's just jump right into it. Okay, Cable's X-Force is about to recreate the best X-Men movie yet. Exclusive preview. So this is a preview of this comic coming out, and it's going to have this amazing X-Men lineup. But first, let me talk about the premise. So I actually think a better title for this article would have been something along the lines of is about to recreate one of the most famous X-Men stories or X-Men comics, because the premise is similar to that of Days of Future Past, which was a really amazing X-Men movie. Don't get me wrong. I mean, that was one of the better Fox X-Men movies. But to me, the thing that really shines was the comic by Chris Claremont. It's early on in the X-Men. I've got the comics right here. We've got Wolverine and Kitty Pryde. And then here's another one. This is like part 2, I believe. Really classic story where Kitty Pryde has to go back in time and stop the senator from being assassinated to stop this like dystopian future from happening, right? So that's the premise we have going into this comic. But here's the cover. It looks amazing. And now let's talk about the lineup. Okay, we've got Archangel here, one of the original X-Men. Remember, the original X-Men was the Stan Lee and Jack Kirby X-Men, so he's like the OG of the X-Men. We've got Cable. Now, we know whenever we see Cable in comics, there's going to be some kind of time travel involved. Cable has a really cool character design. Was it Rob Liefeld that created Cable? Anyway, those two characters are very cool, but I really want to highlight these bottom two, because the Hellverine being on this team makes me want to read this comic. This is crazy. I mean, the Hellverine is such a cool concept. It's a combination of the demon from hell, Bagragul, and Wolverine. This is nuts because it's like a Ghost Rider Wolverine. Now, I'm not sure if it has all the same powers as Ghost Rider, because I believe this is a different demon. And correct me if I'm wrong about the origins of Hellverine. It's one of the comics that I saw on the shelves that I still want to read. But take Wolverine and put a demon inside him. That's dope. And plus, look at the character design. His claws are already indestructible adamantium and awesome, and now they're on fire. And he has a Ghost Rider adamantium head. This is dope. And then we have Boom Boom. Okay, Boom Boom is a character that I think is really cool, that creates little bombs, these little energy balls that explode. And she's able to make them of different sizes and manipulate their direction and their sound. And she's highly destructive. So this team, I think, is going to be absolutely crazy to read a comic about. Let me flip through these couple of pages that's here. Oh, the art looks great too. I wanted to point that out as well. The artist in here looks amazing. And I applaud Marvel for getting some more unique looking art in their comics. I've complained before about modern Marvel comic art. I think it all looks too similar. This looks pretty cool. This is very Jim Lee-esque to me. I really like this. And I think that the creative team's going to do a great job. Tim Seeley is the writer and Michael Maria is the artist. So yeah, this looks great. Let me know what your thoughts are on this. Are you excited for this comic? Let me know in the comments down below. All right, just look at this image. This is so weirdly cool and interesting to look at and strange, and I don't like it, but yet I do. And the detail, look at the ripples in the water in his feet. This is exactly what it should be for a Bizarro comic, right? So this was done by Nick Pitarra. I thought this was Frank Quietly at first, because it looks a lot like Frank Quietly, and he does have another cover here that I'll show in a minute. I just think this is dope, right? I mean, look how cool this looks, and I love the fact that it is Bizarro, and of course he's standing on top of a square world instead of a spherical world, which is very Bizarro. And there's a few other things that we'll see about this title where they've leaned into the fact that Bizarro does everything backwards, and we'll talk about that in a minute. The writer here is going to be Kevin Smith, and I believe Nick Pitarra is going to be the main artist. If this is any indication of what the art is going to look like, I think this is really exciting, because I think you want an artist with this kind of quality when you get to a character like Bizarro. It should be a little bizarre, and this is absolutely bizarre. Let's take a look at Kevin Smith's post. Super News, Eric Carrasco and Nick Pitarra, sorry if I'm saying those names wrong, and I are teaming up to tell the tale of Bizarro, Year None, the definitive, indefinitive, secret origin story of the beloved Superman nemesis. So there you go. It's Year None, which is great. and it's the indefinitive secret origin story. I think that's hilarious. And here's the premise. When Perry White and Jimmy Olsen are taken to another dimension, they meet the maker of a wild world which mirrors Metropolis, who's also a big fan of the Daily Planet. But as the cracks start to show, the old newsman and the eager intern realize they may be through the looking glass. Behold the killer covers by all natural Nick, the fantastic Frank Quietly, and the inimitable Ibrahim, and the fabulous Fernando Pasarin. I probably butchered so many of these names, I'm sorry. Nice to be slinging a story at DC Comics again, and I couldn't ask for better collaborators. I can't wait for y'all to read this strange adventure. I don't know, I saw this, I got excited. Kevin Smith has written some good comics. We've got Frank Quietly's cover right here as well. You know, I think he's also kind of a good fit for doing one of these covers. And then this is Ibrahim's cover. So all these covers look great. And it just seems like a combination of things that are going to make this a really fun comic to read. You know, I think this is going to be, it's not going to be too serious, but it's going to have cool art. It's going to, you know, have probably some pretty cool covers if this is an example of the kind of covers we're going to get. And like I said, Kevin Smith, you know, he wrote a really good Green Arrow run, a really good Daredevil arc, and some other stuff. And he's been obviously involved in all his movies and everything else like that. So I think this is a perfect storm for this kind of comic. And yeah, I'm excited for this. Let me know what your thoughts are on this in the comments down below. Okay, if you're a Star Wars fan, you may have seen this already, but I wanted to talk about it here real quick because I think it does have big implications for Lucasfilm and the future of the Star Wars universe going forward. Kathleen Kennedy is stepping down, making way for Dave Filoni. As she prepares to exit her role, she's leaving Star Wars fans a parting gift in the form of a glimpse at the current state of the franchise and its future. So basically, she goes on to talk about the fact that there's a bunch of different Star Wars things in the works. Some of these sound really cool. We've got Star Wars Starfighter, which I'm very excited for. She said it was designed to be a standalone film. However, there is potential for sequels. It's funny, I'm already hoping for sequels because Star Wars Starfighter sounds amazing. If it's about like X-Wing pilots or something, that would be amazing. Maybe Poe Dameron's in there or something like that. And then she goes on to talk about other creators who have stuff in the works. So she says Jim Mangold and Bo Willimon wrote an incredible script, but it's definitely breaking the mold and it's on hold. Taika has turned in a script that I think is hilarious and great. We have to be careful with Taika because he went too to the funny side with Thor. It was good in the first one and not so great in the second one. Those goats, I have nightmares about them. And then she says, it's not my decision, especially that when I have one foot out the door. Then she says, Donald Glover has turned in a script. That's exciting. I don't know what it is. And then she says, and as you've read, Steve Soderbergh and Adam Driver turned in a script written by Scott Burns. It was just great. Anything's a possibility if somebody's willing to take a risk. So let me just say, she has kind of a prolific career. If you look at her last 14 years, and just at Lucasfilm as the president, you might think that she hasn't had the best, history in the film industry. But, let's remember, she was involved with Jaws, with Jurassic Park, Steven Spielberg stuff like Indiana Jones, E.T. But I just got to be honest, and I think a lot of people would agree with this. The last Star Wars trilogy to come out was very disappointing. I think that we had good characters and actors that were torn down by a bad script and a bad overall plot for these movies. I'm not saying that it's all her fault, of course, either. She was the president. She didn't direct the movies and stuff. But I think that this could be opening a door to a new future for Star Wars that could be a little bit brighter. Now, Dave Filoni has been involved in some really great Star Wars stuff. Now, he has been involved in some stuff that wasn't so great too, but to name a few, we've got Ahsoka, Star Wars Rebels, Mandalorian, Clone Wars, which is one of the most beloved Star Wars things ever, Rogue One, and more. So I think he's had more hits than not hits, and I think potentially this could be a really good move for Star Wars going forward. But I want to know what you think. Are you excited for this change? And are you a fan of Dave Filoni? Let me know in the comments. After 37 years, it's the end of an era for a fan favorite Batman character. Okay, so this is talking about one of the Robins. I want you to think about who your favorite Robin is when we're going into this story, because I think it's hard to compare the different eras of Robin. You had Dick Grayson first appearing in the Golden Age, and then you had like Jason Todd and Tim Drake coming in the 80s. It's hard to compare those eras of comics, but I think For me, my favorite Robin is Dick Grayson, followed by Damian Wayne, who came later, of course. And then they all went, several of these characters went on to become their own superheroes. Anyway, I just want to know if the character who is coming to the end of his era here, this Robin, is your favorite Robin. And I'm talking about Tim Drake. Now, we don't know anything for sure because this issue isn't out yet, but there is a cover for Matt Fraction's Batman #6, which would indicate that, we're going to see a departure of Tim Drake. This is the cover right here. As you can see, Tim Drake here is in the background, walking away, and Batman's holding his costume. And then we have a bunch of, significant Tim Drake key comics here making up the background. And by the way, this is done by Jim Lee, and this is an homage to John Byrne. So I know that Tim Drake has been involved in DCKO. I know that he's been involved in Matt Fraction's Batman run. And by the way, when comic book characters go away, take it with a grain of salt because everything returns to the status quo. So we'll have to see what happens with Tim Drake, what the future of his character is. Maybe they're setting him up to come back as a whole different character, kind of like Jason Todd went away. I mean, he didn't go away. He was brutally destroyed by the Joker. Anyway, maybe they're setting him up to come back later as a different character, and they're giving Damian Wayne, they're pushing him up into the role of main Robin. That could be what's going on here. And if that's what they're doing, cool. I mean, I can't wait to see the future for Tim Drake. And like I said, I mean, this may be a departure for the character or the end of an era, but I don't think it'll be the last we see of him. And I just want to know, who's your favorite Robin? Are you going to be sad to see Tim Drake go? And if Tim Drake is your favorite Robin, I want to know why. I mean, like I kind of talked about why Dick Grayson was my favorite Robin already. He was on the Teen Titans as well. One of the best comic book runs ever written by Marv Wolfman and art by George Perez. So Dick Grayson just kind of, holds a special place in my heart, and that's why I chose him. But and then I think just Damian Wayne is cool, and he was trained by assassins from a kid, so that's why I put him second. But yeah, like I said, let me know why Tim Drake is your favorite. If he is your favorite, let me know who your favorite Robin is, and let me know if you're sad to see the end of an era for this character in the comments. Okay, let's take a look at the new comic books coming out January 21st, 2026. We've got Nightwing, World's Finest. I'm going to go back and read this whole thing because the covers look amazing, and I'm going to read it digitally, to be honest, but every cover I see for this just looks so cool, and I've heard it's good. So that's what I'm interested in. We've got Amazing Spider-Man, X-Men Shadows of Tomorrow, Captain America. We've got a DCKO tie-in with Titans. There's going to be a bunch of these tie-ins, I think, this week. Ultimate Black Panther, Fantastic Four. This cover looks really cool. Find Susan Storm. I don't know what's going on there, but that cover looks cool. We've got Wonder Woman, a DCKO tie-in, Green Lantern, Galactic Slam. Love that name. Got to see what's going on with that one. Spider-Man Wolverine, The Mortal Thor, another one that I need to get caught up on. Amazing covers by Alex Ross throughout this whole series, and I loved the Immortal Hulk. So, I'm sure Al Ewing is doing an equally amazing job on Immortal Thor. Let me know what your thoughts are there. Superman Unlimited, I did start reading this. I think this is definitely a solid pickup. Catwoman, I love this because it's got the Court of Owls, one of my favorite villains or villainous groups on the cover. We've got Rogue #1. Okay, it's a very waifu rogue there on the cover, or whatever you want to call her. We've got some other stuff here. Planet She-Hulk. That's not really on my radar. Let me know if that's any good. Psylocke Ninja #1. And then, of course, Inglorious X-Force, which I'm really excited for. So, let me know if you're going to be picking this one up. I think, come on, let's all give this comic a try. The fact that it has Hellverine on the team and Boom Boom should be enough for us to be like, okay, let's do this. And time travel with Cable and stuff. Archangel, come on, it's awesome. Oh, by the way, Rogue Sun is still going. What issue is that on? 32. Oh, good for you, Rogue Sun. Okay, let's take a look at the omnibuses coming out this week. Okay, we've got some really cool stuff here. We've got Young Justice Volume 2, and this is the Peter David run, which, I definitely want to pick this up because I have Volume 1, so excited for that. Green Lantern Volume 2, this is the Robert Venditti run. I don't know much about this run. This cover looks cool. Let me know if this is going to be a good pickup. And then we have Ultimate X-Men Volume 3 Omnibus. And then there's this Rick and Morty 10th Anniversary Omnibus Volume 2. I actually think the Rick and Morty comics are kind of funny. I just bought one of the collected editions, and I was reading it just for fun recently. So yeah, these are some pretty cool omnibuses coming out. And let me know which omnibuses you're going to be buying and what comics you're looking forward to this week in the comments down below. Okay, that's it for this episode of Comic Book News. If there's anything major I missed in this video, please let me know. Let me know your thoughts on the different stories I talked about in the comments. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.